I have two bikes here, and both of these bikes need tire changes. I'm going to start with the SD because that's the hardest one. Right here in this box, I have the tire for it. The garage is kind of messy, but the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the side cases. There's this little tab, and then you lift them up. The SD is not a very good looking bike without the side cases. So on this one, I believe, just lift it up. So on each side there is this bolt, 12 millimeter, and then there's another one down here. We're going to undo that. There we go, there's a nut. I haven't done any maintenance on bikes lately. So there we go. We're going to use a 10 millimeter to get in here, if you can tell. I like the joint. Take this, I believe it's this one. This, yeah, so 12 millimeter, get the exhaust, and you can see it just drops out like this. So right here, this is what I'm removing. I'm just loosening up these. This is two 12 millimeters. This one here is a 10 millimeter. The one I removed here is a 12. As you can tell, at this point, the exhausts have been lowered and we have full access to that axle. Right there, that's going to be much easier. So using something like this, you are going to fit it right here into this bolt. Now you're going to get this nut here. I've already loosened it, and you should be able to remove it. This is where the axle is. The next step is to remove the brake caliper, because we need to hang it up so we can remove the wheel. One of the things you should get is perhaps a set of bungees like this, because you can kind of wrap it around the bike somehow and just kind of lift it up. You don't want your brake lines to be hanging, so make sure that you do not lose this washer. You can loosen the exhaust or just remove it. I just decided to remove it to get the axle out easier. There's the axle. Right here, this bolt, it's a 14 millimeter. I'm going to remove this so I can remove the brake caliper arm. Alright, loosened it up. Now I'm going to remove it back and forth and kind of remove it out of the way to remove the wheel. So hanging this up, so maybe fit it through here, through this mounting bolt. There we go. Two bolts here. I mean, I appreciate there's 4 bolts, it's easy, but come on, Honda. Finally, all of this just to remove the tire backwards. Ridiculous, but at least it is done. This machine is pretty nice. You can get these things for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Shaft drive, 1300cc. I can't imagine you get a much better deal in sport touring, but it does require a little bit more maintenance. This is the tire. Hopefully they sent me the right tire. Using this screws into the valve right there. That's what I removed. The way I do it, I put one here, I go all around until one side kind of pops out. One side is done. This is broken. Right there, feel it. Tire lever here, and then I'll take it with the reverse angle and I'll put it here on the opposite and do a counter leverage. That way it breaks the bead. One side is done. You can see it off the rim. Now we have to flip it and get the whole tire off. Alright guys, I have gotten the wheel out. This is a very, very heavy wheel. Now the next step before I install the tire, I am going to remove these valve stems that annoy the living crap out of me. Who the hell puts these stems on here? What? I hate these stems. The front. I hate these stems. You can just kind of slide it out, but I'm just going to cut this because we don't need it. Here is the inside, and you can tell that's where the plug is, right here. That's what happens when you plug it. That might have been the part that was leaking. Don't see any other plugs on this. And there's the outside of the plug. So it kind of held up, but I think eventually it started to, it's time. You see that? It's already kind of coming out. There's no thread on one side. We are going to turn this into a 90-degree valve stem. These are a little bit old school because it's a rubberized thing, and you just kind of like have to cram it in there. You can use vice grips and cramp it in. That's what I did for the video of the Honda Elite 80. I bought these. This is a 90-degree valve, but we're not going to install this. There are better types of valves that you don't have to cram this rubberized thing in there. These are metal, $9, QWorktools.com. Comes with two. It's pretty decent quality. I've seen quite a few people install these on their bikes. They seem to be worth it, much more than these. I believe this was, two of them were $3. I kind of think that going with this sort of style is much better. So the first thing we're going to have to do is remove this one. It's already starting to crack there, the valve, just to get the air on there. And this actually might be the reason it's leaking. The valve is broken. And it is gone. That's what I removed. So much better than this sort of system. And all you do, you have to figure out which way you want the valve to point. And I want the valve to point towards the shaft drive this way. It's a little bit easier to fill up because when the kickstand is down and you're, maybe you lost pressure, it's much easier to fill up when it's resting on the left side. I finished cleaning this up and this up. It's nice and clean. It would basically be like that towards the outside, and thread it on this side. Before you clamp it down, make sure that you have it oriented right, and at the smaller part, the thinner part, is actually towards the end. It's nice and tight, so just take a wrench, tighten it up, and you're pretty much set to go. The one thing you want to keep in mind is the rotation of the tire. On this one, it says rotation right on it, and there's an arrow pointing, so you just line it up. So this one's going to be where the shaft drive is, and it's going to be oriented that way. First, it's going to be kind of hard to show you with my hands not free, but let's give it a try. These are my tire rubbers. I'll just start pushing it down. You want to make sure you grease your wheel as well. Recheck that the orientation is right. There we go. It's right. There's another thing. There's a dot. Usually you want to put that closest to the valve stem. And I believe it's on the other side. So I'm going to flip this. Look for that. There we go. There's that dot right there. Got my orientation, got my dot, and we're ready to start putting this onto the rim. Hi guys, I got the wheel on there. I really like the stems. As you can see, they face where they should be. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to wait overnight, and I'm going to check the pressure again just to make sure that they're not leaking. But I think what I like about this bike is that it's just super comfortable. But I don't like doing maintenance. Eventually, when I wear out these tires, I do plan on getting a dark side tire for this because this is way too time consuming to do. And I just kind of enjoy riding long distances. I think I am very rusty at maintenance because the last few bikes I've had, I have not had to do much to them. The Super Tenere, this one, all the other ones, like I just haven't worked on them that much. So in a way, these bikes do spoil you with their durability. But one thing I do like is that stem. It's probably the best $9 I spent. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.